Oh, thank you.
No, I know. No, when the time comes.
Okay. Good evening. The Design Review Board 2 public meeting of October 25th, 2012 is called to order. Please refrain from talking amongst yourselves, and please turn off or put on vibrate all cell phones and pagers. If you need to talk, please leave the meeting room. Anyone who wishes to speak, including applicants, is asked to completely fill out one of the speaker cards provided at the table by the front door and submit it to staff. You will be called to present a case or speak on a specific item as desired. Anyone who wishes to be re-noticed about a project must completely fill out one of the postcards provided at the table by the front door and submit it to staff to receive notice of subsequent meetings. Current Design Review Board agendas are available by calling our Design Review Board hotline at 818-548-2140 or by visiting our website at www.ci.glendale.ca.us. A handout describing the procedures of the meeting, possible board decisions, and Design Review Board reconsideration and appeals is available at the table by the front door. Please note that all appeals must be filed within 15 calendar days of the Design Review Board decision date. The chairperson may reorder agenda items at his discretion. Roll call. Board Member Garagos is absent this evening. Board Member Karoglian? Here. Malikian? Here. Sakai? Here. Chairman Zarifian?
Here.
The report regarding posting of the agenda. The agenda for this meeting was posted on the bulletin board outside City Hall at or before 5 p.m. on Tuesday, October 16th, 2012. Oral communication discussion is limited to items not a part of this agenda. I have no oral communication cards. None shown. All right.
No.
Which brings us to staff announcements. There will be a special meeting on November the 15th with one item on that evening's agenda. So, again, Design Review Board number 2 will be meeting on November the 15th for a special meeting. There is one case on tonight's agenda, and at this point in time, I would like to turn the meeting over to Chairman Zarifian.
Thank you very much. I think we can go right ahead and get started. The case number 2-PDR 1222196-A 1866 Hillside Drive. Shall we go ahead?
Yes.
Thank you.
Chairman and members of the Design Review Board. This case at 1866 Hillside is a first-time submittal seen by you all. It is a existing single-story house, and we have that they're planning on adding a two-story at the back and a little bump out underneath the existing roof eave or porch. Real briefly, we have our site plan, we have our floor plans, roof, our elevations have a section perspective. There's a landscape plan here, and then these are some details on the windows here, and here's some photographs of the property itself. And I'm trying to be very brief here. Proposal is to remodel the house. They'll keep the architectural style basically the same. They'll be adding 930 square feet to the rear of the house. It'll be a new two-story addition, a whole new floor area here, first and second floor, which you can see right there. And then on the front of the house, there's going to be a little pop-out, about 8 square feet right here. It still is falling underneath the porch roof. Characteristics of the site. The house itself is on a relatively level pad area. On the back side of the property, it rises fairly steeply right here to the south, and then right here they're next to the 2 freeway, and it rises relatively steeply up there to the 2 freeway. The addition is going to be back in this corner over here, and this is probably not the best place for the location map, but as you can see on the location map, the house is right here, so it's not at the end of the, well, it's at the end of the street right next to the freeway ramp. and it wraps around. And the addition will be back in this corner over here. Staff reviewed the neighboring properties. This particular property is a little larger than the average in the neighborhood. It falls a little on the larger size of the range of properties. It is set back further from the street than most of the properties. And the house size will be larger, but the floor area will fall within the range and less than the average in the neighborhood with the addition. And it'll be a two-story house, as you can see, and about a little over 50% of the homes in the neighborhood are two-story. Now, when we look at the site planning, which consists of the lot coverage, landscaping, parking, and site walls and privacy, the staff felt that it was consistent with the intent of the guidelines. Felt that the proposal is sensitive to the location of the house because it's in that back corner, adjacent to that freeway right-of-way area. And we feel it's considered to the neighbor's privacy. It's below the house to the south, and the garage here screens it from the neighbor over here, or at least certainly softens and buffers that side over here where the neighbor's house is. There is an oak tree, but again, the applicants worked with the urban forester's office, and this retaining wall and oak tree and the addition were all reviewed by the urban forester's office, and they didn't see that there would be a problem with the construction. And we had some conditions for the site plannings, primarily for decorative details, which we will have as conditions, and I'll go through those. As far as massing and scale of the house, the staff did work with the applicant about doing more to reduce the height or the second story, trying to pull this down as much as possible. After several reviews of the with the applicant, we felt that for the most part it works. They're transitioning some of these roof lines. It may not be perfect, but it works okay. And the location of it is helpful because back in this corner where it's closest to the freeway, it's underneath the hill for the property above, it's screened relatively nicely from the property next door. It's at the curve over here, so it's not going to be that noticeable, we feel. So we think overall, and the architectural style, they're trying to be sympathetic with the existing architectural style, so we feel that, that it's that we can support the additions for the massive scale. Design and detailing, we had a couple comments there. We felt for the most part that it was pretty good. We had some comments regarding a living room window. We just want to maintain pop out that is not really clearly shown over here on the driveway side right here. So we're asking to maintain that, which the applicant has told me verbally that he plans to. And then we want to make sure that the windows that are in the front of the house would reflect what you'll see on those photographs, because we want to try to keep the same style, wood, block frame. The applicant's proposing a vinyl, but we prefer for the front and that driveway side maintain that wood block frame with the sill, with the grid pattern similar to what's on the house right now. That would be what we'd prefer. Other than, with these conditions, we feel the project will be okay as far as the design. So when you look at our overall conditions from that site planning, talking about some decorative materials for the driveway, for the walkway, because they're doing a little work on the walkway from the front door. Some cut sheets for the decorative walls and for the gates and fencing that is freestanding around the house. Block frame windows, which are discussed, and that driveway side pop-out. And beyond that, we feel that the project can be supported, and that pretty much comments for you. I can ask questions if you like.
Just about the gate and
I think the best thing is to look at photographs. There should be something here. There's a fence there is a fence here. It's a wood fence right now. And there's these gates right here. Actually, they're not here now. I believe they're placed here. So that's what, we just want to see what those details. We don't think they're to make or break. We think that we can work with the applicant to come up with a compatible design for that. The applicant's been, we feel, sensitive to trying to maintain an overall feel that's sympathetic to design of the house, so we feel that they'll do the same with the gates. They don't have that wood fence here that, well, you can see touch of it right there. Wood fence that was there, it's not there. And you can see it right there. Yeah, that's something though. But the applicant is, we want to work with them on to finish that stuff up.
Okay, anything else?
I'm assuming that the walkway and driveway design will follow after this meeting?
Well, what
Be addressed with the staff later on?
as far as materials, what you're looking at here is the driveway and the walkway location, like this. So that's what they're proposing to do, as far as locations. As far as the materials, whether it's going to have a integrated color into that driveway or some pattern for any of this walkway, are they going to be using some type of a tiles for the, for the stairs, that sort of thing, or slate, who knows? They're not stating. We want to work with them on those kind of little details. We don't want those to be silent before we approve the project. All right.
At this point, we'll open the public session. And the first speaker, Arman Abgarian. Please step forward and state your address, name and address.
Yeah, my name is Arman Abgarian, and I'm the applicant and the designer of the project. Okay, thank you. Okay, so thank you very much, all of you being here. And my only, like a couple of questions is going to be about the windows, which Mr. Boxer says about the first, like a front window is going to be wood. They prefer to be wood, but the owner wants to be vinyl like the old house. And the reason is about the maintaining the wood, like you need to like paint it in our like every 3 years, and cost-wise. So, and the other things about the driveway, the material is going to be the concrete with the smooth finish, and the fence wall, black fence wall, going to be covered as with the stucco with the same color as the building has. So to continue same line, color line, and the steps, walkway to the entry, it's going to be smooth stucco again. And I think
smooth stucco for the retaining walls, right?
no, the retaining wall is going to be smooth stucco also, and the steps also going to be concrete. Concrete, yeah. And I think that's the only things I want to tell you. And thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair? There was one point, though, I think, that retaining walls in that particular zone have to be, they can't be stucco by code.
Okay. Second speaker, I'm sorry, I'm having trouble reading the handwriting. Chabaz?
Yes.
Yes. Please come forward. Shakarens.
Chacarens. Yes.
So I was right. Thank you.
Good evening, board members. I am the owner of the property that's south to the proposed site. And looking at the sheer size of this property and the elevation of the roof, one of the things that drew me to the current property that I own was the privacy that I had. And by extending a permit to build this property, it's going to sort of take my privacy away. So I'd like the board to reconsider and maybe come out maybe with a different design as far as the property is concerned. I'm not objecting to the applicant expanding his property, but I think the sheer size of it and the height of the property is sort of crossing over to what I feel is my privacy.
Are you the uphill neighbor?
Yes.
And can you see the story poles from your
Oh, absolutely.
inside your house?
Yes, I do.
But do you see them across, or you're looking down?
Well, yeah, I'm looking down at the property because the property on my north side is sloping down, and it's a pretty heavy slope.
And can you verify, is this, if you look at the screen there, is this your house here?
That's 1840 Cafe. I believe that's the one. Yes.
This one here?
Yes.
Okay.
There.
And my other question would be is the forestry and the greenery that's around in the backside, and I'm not sure as to what extent they're going to, as far as cutting down trees or anything like that. Because for me that's important.
Yeah. This. So is this? Can you show us which section?
This would be the gentleman's house here on 1840 Cathay.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
his property, and this is the one here that is the subject property.
So this is.
Yes.
Do you have any questions? I have a question. How would this house affect your privacy?
Well, looking out from my kitchen window, I can see the back, to my backyard. I see the roof of the existing.
So how would that,
vision.
seeing the roof of that, affects your privacy?
Well, for me, the vision when like I told you that drew me there was all the greenery and the brush that's out there. Now having that house kind of protrude out of those trees.
So it's not really about privacy. It's about.
Well, a bit of it, because now when I go out to my backyard, if someone is on that second story, they can see into my backyard. Of
okay.
course they can. They're not gonna with the windows. I mean, it's gonna be hard to look into my unit itself. But as far as being out in the backyard and spending time in my backyard, because also the east side of my property is elevated also.
Okay. If there are no more questions, then we're good. Thank you.
Thank you.
So the next speaker would be Rafat Rokes.
Hi, I'm next door to the gentleman or this property, and I have many concerns here.
Yeah.
Oh, my name is Rafat Rokes. I'm located in 1860 Hillside Drive, California, Glendale. So I'm next door. First of all, I'd like to say that this house is already higher than my level I can almost say that it's almost 1 story higher than mine, okay, from the ground level. So if you add 2 stories, this is going to be like 3-story higher, okay? So I don't know this is going to turn my house into dark, humid place because it's going to hide the sun from me. Okay? That's number 1 issue. Number 2 is the privacy. Because if my neighbor here, who was higher, I am lower, way lower. Okay? And instead now having 1 window facing my far side of my house, now I'm going to have the whole house exposing my house. So that's my concern. So my privacy now is going to be affected, first of all, and not only this, it's going to turn my house completely into dark side. And it's going to be not healthy if you're going to hide the sun from me almost half of the day with humidity. The gentleman here expressed that there's an oak tree is not a concern. I would like to say that all the trees were removed already from the property.
The existing oak tree does not exist.
I'm sorry?
The existing oak tree does not exist?
Yeah. All the trees in that vicinity around the house are gone.
But we can see it in the picture. Are you sure?
Where? Which picture?
Are you talking about this tree?
I'm sorry?
That's the oak tree.
No, I'm talking about where the existing place that's going to be. Yeah, there was a couple of trees. They were gone already.
Yeah, those are probably trees that could have been removed, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
There's that 1 oak tree.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you have a two-story? I mean, trying to
Yes,
the photo.
I do have two-story.
Trying to
60.
I could put street view up also.
1860 Hillside. Yes, that's my house. So as you see, it's already higher than my
Right.
level.
So from the second floor of your house, you can see in their...
I'm sorry?
From the second floor of your house, you can see into their backyard, right?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is in my first story, that's going to be dark now.
First
Yeah,
story
it's-
is already below the fence.
Yeah,
They're building on the other side of the property.
yes, but what I'm saying is that's where the sun comes, from the east side. So if you're going to put something higher back there, because he already put like columns now, it shows where the size of the new, the new addition. So I would really be scared to have this next to me that's going to hide the sun.
I'm having trouble understanding how, at what angle the sun should come, because if the angle that you're talking about, the freeway and the slope is much higher to allow
No, sir.
the sun
No.
even
I mean,
at the
the
time.
freeway is way high up, so it doesn't affect me as the sun. But what I'm saying is if you put any elevation here or a second story in that area back there, that sure is going to affect
No,
the sun.
I understand, but what
Correct.
I'm saying is that this is the front of the
Yes.
this is the front of the house. So the slope goes up pretty far up, right?
Yes.
So so your house is right here. In order
But in lower levels, sir.
Yeah, right, approximately. I'm
Yeah.
saying your house is here. In order for this
Okay.
elevation have any effect on your house, the angle of the sun should be like this to be able to block the sun. from your property.
I mean, I can't tell you what the angle of the sun,
No,
but what I'm saying is,
We are architects, we
Oh,
work
okay.
with the sun
Okay.
every day.
yeah, okay.
I'm having trouble.
But I'm the one who lives inside the house, and I know exactly, like, even if they put one car in the driveway, this can make my whole side of the house is dark.
Yeah, we're saying that the hillside is up here and the sun rays are parallel. There's no question about the sun being there. It's just that the angle of incidence that will block the sun from your house should be really low in order to block anything coming to your house. And if it's that low, it will be blocked by the freeway on the hillside anyway. So that's a fact that we know. I'm not not asking the question. What I'm saying is that we need to work on factual basis, and what you're stating is different from what will actually happen as far as any sun blockage. I think if we can ask any of the board members, they will probably tell you the same thing, that the angle of the sun should be very, very low in order to block anything from your property.
You have to keep in mind, I'm not talking about the side only, because this, I mean, where the new addition is going to be is going to cover almost the whole corner of my house.
But it's
Okay.
away from your house. It's at the other end.
almost 40 feet away from your house. So I'm not. You need to convince us that if that is the case, and your argument
I mean-
is not being, convincing, because as Mr. Zarifian said, you have a tall object behind the addition that is happening. That tall object is the hill and the freeway. So if a
Okay.
sun comes through there, a tall object is going to block the sun before the structure is going to block any kind of a view from
Okay.
the sun. So and it's 45 feet away from your construction. Okay? So if any kind of a fact that it's going to be presented to us for us to make a decision based on that and somehow change or make any changes to the those facts has to be accurate.
Okay.
And what you're saying, if what you're saying that the sun is going to cast a shadow, it's almost impossible. It is impossible.
Okay, what about the privacy?
Well, you're looking down to their property right now.
No, sir. I mean, from my first floor, I look down to
From
them.
the second floor.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about the second floor. I'm talking about the first floor. That's where my...
But from your second floor, you can look down to their property, right?
No, because
The
they don't have any windows on this side except one window.
I think the way it looks here is that you can look down from this window to their property.
No, because I'm a little bit behind them, so I cannot look inside their house from this angle, sir.
Okay, I think
I think
we're
information.
that's fine. We were looking at the pictures, and I understand what you're saying, and I think there are no questions beyond that, right?
I think, yeah.
Yeah,
I
we're
just,
good.
I just wanted to put the gentleman's mind at ease. I don't know what time of the day this picture was taken, but if you look at it, you
Yes.
are receiving as much sun as this house is. Just look at the shadow here.
I'm talking about the back side, sir. You're talking about the front now. I'm talking about the back side. That's where
Well, the back
my
is gonna be
corner...
here.
The shadow,
I'm talking about this corner of my house here, okay?
Right.
That's where the new elevation or whatever is going to hide the sun completely from my side. Again, that's my point, but I don't know about your point.
That's, I think,
If they were building right up against your house, then that would be a valid point, because it would block the sun angles from every single angle that it would encounter
Okay.
that structure. But we're saying because it's so far away, that the sun
No,
angle
I-
would have to be very
No,
low
I mean,
to hit it.
I'm answering his point that
Right.
he was talking about this side and he's talking about the sun to my house. I'm not talking about this side. I'm talking about the back side because actually in the back, that's where the slope is higher.
So the hillside would probably block more sun than the addition would. Or like you said, a car would,
Okay.
because a car would park right there and block the sun to
Yeah.
the house. Okay.
Okay, I have another question, which is, what guarantees that this is not going to be used later on as a rental property or anything? Do we have any kind of plan
we
for
don't
this?
have any jurisdiction over that because any house can be rented.
Okay.
It's not under our
So
control.
even if it is a single family house, it can be still used as a rental? I'm talking about this added part?
Any property can be rented.
You rent your house.
No, I understand, yeah, but I'm saying
Yeah,
still.
We're just here
what
to
I'm
talk
saying
about
is that
design.
even if there was an issue, we cannot address that at this board because we're only talking about the architectural aspects of the new construction.
Okay, so again, if there's any consideration of this privacy issue, I hope it's going to be considered.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, I think this will be our last speaker.
I have a question for the applicant.
Sure.
I can.
Do you want to maybe have the next speaker?
Oh,
also?
I thought,
One more.
I did,
there's
I'm
more.
so sorry, sorry, I thought we
Sure.
were done.
Yeah,
That's all
no,
right.
I realized. John Liu?
Hi, I'm John Liu, 1846 Cathay Street. I'm the neighbor southwest to the proposed project. The reason why we oppose the project is I have been self-appointed, later appointed by the previous owner's son as a caretaker of 1866 Hillside for a number of years, and since we lived there since 2011. We wish everything we do in life could be as simple and straightforward as plans, but unfortunately, more often than not, that's not the case. This plan, everything looks great. This house the plan looks feasible, but in reality, there are a lot of concerns architecturally. I'm sure this plan is drafted very, very nicely, but the human factor involved, it's what's going to kill the project because we live there. Anything goes wrong, we have to suffer with it. Ever since this new neighbor moved in, we're cordial. We go say hello. We give them, cookies and over holidays and all that kind of stuff to welcome them to the neighborhood. They're very quiet, keep to themselves, which is all fine. But here is the interesting part. For over a year, the entire front yard turned into something you could almost see from American Pickers. one of those episodes. It was very alarming. I mean, everything's dead, grass is dead. There was a big black garbage bag covering a tree stump or some stump of some sort for over a year. And we're always wondering what that was. And, I walk my dogs, I walk the neighborhood. Also, the gentleman mentioned something about 50% of neighborhoods are two-story houses, which is also inaccurate. There are a lot of houses in a cul-de-sac that look as if they're 2 stories, but actually just the stairs, they just build a little higher. It's a single-story home. My house look as if it's 2-story, but it's not. At the bottom is actually a garage, and you can walk upstairs, single-story. But the point is, the human factor is a key factor. Constructions, you approve it, but you don't have to live next to it. I have to live next to it. This gentleman has to live next to it. He has to live next to it. And, the other night, I almost called Glendale PD because of noise factor. They will hire people who are not aware of city ordinance. What is a city ordinance? How late can I do construction in a residential neighborhood, Hill? Right? So by 9:30 p.m., you still hear jackhammers and some of the stuff. Would you say that's exceeding the city ordinance? They were at it. Nobody said anything. I finally couldn't take it anymore because sound travels up. As you know, you're architects, sound travels up. Sound doesn't travel down. We live above it. Any noise, anything comes up. That construction was loud. I finally went out there with my flashlight. I said, look, guys, come on. You can't be doing this at this hour. What really scares me, a few safety issues. Number one, the retaining wall. We all seen what happened with the house on stilts. It's kind of like a running joke. Every time you go the 134 to the 2 north, you see on the left side. The neighbor right below it, who was forced to move out of safety because of safety, Caesar and his wife, they were the house right below it. They have to move. And I saw them crying on TV right after that rainstorm when stuff like that would approve. It's really unfortunate.
I have 2 questions, if I may. My first question is this your house?
Yes, that is.
Okay. The second question is, from my understanding, with all the neighbors are coming, you guys are happy to have the current conditions stay as it is?
We have no problem with the current neighbor with the way it is.
The way it is. So deteriorated
Oh, no, as far as deterioration, of course not.
Deteriorated facade, deteriorated retaining walls, all the trash that is out there, you guys are comfortable leaving it the way it is?
No. We just don't want addition.
So what they're proposing right now is to renovate the entire site, redo all the landscaping. Have you guys looked at those plans?
Yes, we have, but the addition portion is what we don't want.
All right.
Because we're also afraid of the, when they start digging down, it will damage the integrity of the slope. That map, that thing there is not as accurate as it really is. You folks should really be out there. We live there. At the end of the day, it's my backyard sliding down that slope, not yours. So whatever looks good on paper is not always good on paper.
One point that I like to make is that most of the facts or concerns that we heard is outside of our ability to address. So I think it's important for you to know that they're all valid points, but to bring it before this board will not solve your problem.
But the returning wall in itself is insufficient.
The retaining wall, if there is any engineering issue that is wrong with any retaining wall, that will be addressed at the city plan check counter and will be reviewed, and nothing will be built unless it meets the code and everything that should. But to use that example, that's a very extreme example that I think that site probably should have been declared unbuildable, and they shouldn't have built on that site to begin with. But what I'm saying is that part of what you were talking about and most of the concerns that you had is not something that we can make any difference.
So is there a different board we appeal
No,
to?
you can, if there's a noise issue that happens.
The contractor not following city
outside,
ordinance?
Yeah, you need to go to which department?
The Public Works,
Public Works Department, and complain, file a complaint.
building permits, building permit.
I think neighborhood services, wouldn't it be?
Neighbor-
Development and housing. So we would be more than happy to go ahead and take in.
But not something that we can make.
No. When it comes
that's
to
what I'm-
when it comes to noise violations, that is something to be addressed by both neighborhood services and the building and safety sections. So we would be more than happy to take down that information.
Right, and part of that goes into the vote of no confidence about hiring a proper contractor. If they dig down to build a foundation, and that water sits there for 2 years because all of a sudden run out of money, then what?
Again, they
Yeah.
can't.
We have to deal with the mosquito infection. You don't.
Yeah, stagnant water is also in violation of the municipal code. So that would be a hazardous
Yeah.
type of situation, and that would have to be remediated.
So we just want the board to know that, like I said, when everything can look perfect in peach on paper, it's in reality it's not always the case. Just want you to take that into consideration.
As he stated, we really aren't
Yeah.
here to deliberate about that issues. It's not.
So my question will be, let's say if you go strictly by the architectural proposal, and let's say in the event that the architectural proposal on paper is sound, then what recourse do all the neighbors have in blocking the project?
And again, the design review board is charged with taking a look at the compatibility of the proposal. If you do not agree with the determination by the design review board, anyone has the ability to submit an appeal. The appeal then goes to the city council for their review and
Okay.
determination.
Right.
And if you were to find that the project as it was being built did not meet the drawings that you're reviewing, our neighborhood services team would be able to issue a stop work order, and then we would inspect that. But we also inspect during construction to make sure that it's following the drawings. So we're very careful to make sure that what's approved here is actually what gets built.
Correct.
Understood. Thank you.
Okay.
I have one question for some clarification. You said that there are people residing there now, and at the same time, there's some construction going on?
Correct. They were building something in the back the other night. I have no idea what it was. They had a pop tent over in the backyard because this area, you see, my trellis area is right there. I mean, I see them right there. That's part of the reason. I'm going to be able to look into the window of their second-story tenant or whatever people. I'm going to be able to see that. Takes away my whole point of buying a secluded house. That's part of the challenge. But we sit right there. Let's see. Yep, this is the trellis. We're set right here, and
You have to be careful when you touch the screen
Sorry.
because it actually.
Okay. so
Should
yeah.
have touched this.
Right. Yeah, right there. So their proposed house is standing right here. Right now, if I sit here, have a cup of coffee, I'm already seeing this big giant circus colors all the way up here.
Okay.
Thank you. I think this way we close the public session.
Actually-
Oh, you had a question?
I had one quick comment.
Sure.
And then the applicant has a
Oh, yeah,
rebuttal
sorry.
period. So.
That's right.
Just because the issue of privacy has come up from several individuals this evening, I just wanted to read from our zoning code exactly what the design review board is also charged with looking at in regards to privacy. The design review board, and this is the review authorities shall ensure that all projects are consistent with the adopted plans, et cetera, shall be reviewed. Conflicting relationships to adjacent buildings, structures, improvements, and uses should be avoided as appropriate to the zone and area. For buildings in the R1, R1R, or ROS zones, in this case, the building is located in such a zone, new development or remodeling that includes more than 1 story in height shall not unreasonably impact the privacy of buildings and outdoor spaces in the R1, R1R, and ROS zones. Privacy shall be judged by the view from the living room, den, study, family room, great room, library, dining room, or balconies greater than 25 feet of the development into the buildings and backyard outdoor spaces of the existing buildings.
Can you read that again?
Yes.
The
Priv-
rooms that are affecting.
Correct. Privacy shall be judged by the view from the living room, dining room, den, study, family room, great room, library, or balconies greater than 25 feet of the new development into the buildings and backyard outdoor spaces of the existing buildings. So essentially, bedrooms are not on this list. It would essentially, if this is an existing condition and all the living room, dining room, family room, great room, these are all existing conditions. The bedrooms essentially do not have this preclusion from the privacy.
What they're adding is a bedroom, so that doesn't, but what about the balcony?
Greater than 25.
No, if it's greater than 25 feet,
25 feet of what? The length
25
or
square
square feet?
feet.
Which it is.
which it is.
Okay.
So the board does have the ability to require modifications in order to ensure privacy, but the bedrooms themselves are not a protected class.
How many square feet is the?
It looks like it's
81.
between 35 and 40. I read that correctly?
Oh, it's about 80 square feet.
That's 81 square feet.
I misread that badly.
81
Yeah,
square.
5 by 5. Okay. Thanks for reading that. Clarifies everything that we should think about. Then I think you needed to talk to the
I
applicant.
have a question from the applicant.
Please come forward.
Can you let us know where you got this survey?
The Public Works Department.
Okay, so it is a public works
Yes.
document. Okay. That's all I wanted to.
Mr. Chair,
Sure.
is that oak tree still there?
The oak tree is there. Oak tree is there. They removed only the tree which is in front of the property because of the root problem, and they did by the permission of the city.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Yes.
About the construction, the gentleman said there's a construction during there. It's not construction. They just put the preliminary framing for the design review board. That's
Sure.
construction.
Okay.
Am I allowed to comment, or?
No, I think the public session is closed. It will be closed because we can only have the rebuttal.
Even if I hear something that's not true?
We'll take that.
I don't know. I think that issue is not should be taken to a different.
If there is illegal construction going on, and forgive me, you can't speak without coming up to the microphone, and unfortunately, the public testimony is closed. If there is illegal construction going on, we please ask that you report it to Neighborhood Services, which their telephone number is 818-548-3700. Okay, so and then this would be throughout the entire city.
Thank you. The public session is closed. What? You had a question?
No.
So, who would like to?
You want me to go start? It seems like from all the discussion and hearings that I've heard, is that there's a little bit more going on than just this addition that is happening. And I think the public is using this forum to kind of express their concern about the conditions and some of the issues that they have with the neighbor. Our responsibility is to review the design, look at the site planning, look at the compatibility, and understand all the facts that are given to us by the documents that are given by the architect, and take in all the considerations, true or not true, or whatever the issues are, and make our decision. Right now, as I understand, and it doesn't seem like that there is any variances or any kind of a conditional use permits or other issues that the planning has. So what that means is that the addition that they're proposing is a legal addition. They are allowed to have a second story, as all of you have. So if I have a choice, and if I have the right for him to come to us before even the design was done, and for him to come to us and ask us, where would you locate the second story without impacting the street view, the neighbor's view, or any other conditions that are on the site, I would tell him, put it exactly where he has located. The location that he has is going against the hillside, which is an uphill side, so the mass of that is hidden or it's shadowed by the hill itself. The location is as far away from your property, which is the 1860 adjacent property, as far possible. And also it's located in back, which is not showing or impacting any street views or any public view that it's going to be impacted by the second floor addition. The sections that are provided are based on the city survey and all the contours that are available on the site. Now, I don't know when the city prepared the document, but assuming that it is correct, all the sections that are provided to us are drawn according to what the survey is showing. Going back to the other concern that the upper levels, the houses are upper level. If a person is standing, and I just did a quick calculation, if the person is standing in the balcony, they're going to be about a 10-foot above the finished grade of the back patio area. Okay? Looking at all the dimensions and everything, and looking at the grade elevation of the top building, which is the 994, there's a 26-foot difference between the person's eye level, which is 6 foot above the deck level standing, okay? Someone standing there at the 6-foot level looking up, that they have to look up 26 feet beyond the trees, beyond all the plantations that are there, and be able to look over and down into there. So, you know, the privacy for me is proven by the section, by the documents that are provided, that it's not a non-issue. Now, putting all this aside, going back to the design of the project, I like the design. I think it fits with the building itself. What I would do is I would probably I would wait for my colleagues to talk about the roof and how it's actually tied together. That's one issue that I have with the entire roofing of the structure. I think it can be a lot more simplified. Also, the privacy, going back to the privacy, and that wasn't an issue. Now that you read that, maybe that's one thing that we can somewhat tweak as far as the balcony, because it's more than 25 square feet. So there may be something that we can introduce, but I don't think a wall or some sort of a blockage on the, it's going to really help the design of the project. I think some sort of a planting, some sort of a tree line or something there along the property line will give the privacy, eliminate the privacy issue, or some sort of a hedging, something there. But if we do that, then that definitely is going to block the light or the sunlight that is coming into the building. So it's either we block the view.
We cannot count on landscaping as a...
And we cannot count. Looking at the condition of the site and assuming that the neighbors are, which I have to assume that they are accurate, and the owner of the property is not here to defend and tell us why it's such a dilapidated site, we have to assume that the landscaping is going to be other than what it's shown on the proposed, would be required to be maintained for a certain number of years. It will be an issue if we go out and propose something. So as far as addressing the privacy, I agree. I don't think planting should be the solution, but that's where I am right now.
I think for me that the balcony was the point of that looked kind of stuck out, that this whole addition has a complexity to it that you mentioned in the roof line, and then this balcony sticks out on the side. That there's just something that's a little bit that could be maybe refined about it, that we, could make it simpler and maybe tie it in better and not seem so like an addition. I also wondered why you'd want to put a balcony that's like, I don't know, a couple feet away from the retaining wall. You basically can't use anything below it. It creates a really dark spot for yourself below the balcony. So, actually, I probably should have asked the question, but maybe considering putting it in another place on the other side of the house. I'm not sure if that's even an option. I don't know what your view is on that side, but that's here and over there. In terms of the style, I think that it matches the existing. I think that staff's concerns for the wood windows in the front, we want to keep it looking like the period that it was built in, and I don't think the final windows really do that. So I think I would lean towards what staff's recommendation for the wood windows and the mullions, the way that they currently exist. Like we heard your concerns, and I think you understand that we're not in a position to judge the project based on issues that you have with the applicants, how they're conducting their business right now, and any concerns for the building would be dealt with the city. So in terms of the style and the landscaping, I think that I have no problem with it, other than the ones I addressed earlier.
I also concur with the fact that the balcony has to be dealt with one way or another, and I'm sure we're going to come to some conclusion this evening. As to any project, when I get one, and I'm not sure how many of the speakers have taken the time to read the recommendations and the report by the staff, because had you had the time to do that, probably some of your concerns at least would have been addressed there. Nevertheless, I'll go over it very quickly. So what I do when I get a project is I look at several things, my personal concerns. One is whether the project is compatible with the neighborhood and with the existing, in this situation, with the existing house itself. Whether it follows the guidelines and the codes, whether it protects indigenous trees, and of course whether it is protecting immediate neighbors' privacy. And in this case, very quickly going over some remarks, some comments here that I've highlighted, it says, this is the staff report, the design of the house addition will match the existing architecture. So one concern that I often have is addressed there. The project would not negatively impact the oak tree. That's another concern that has been addressed. The floor area ratio is 0.17 in the neighborhood. The general is, or the average, I should say, is 0.26, so it's less than what is in the neighborhood. Another point, I know the gentleman brought this up to being inaccurate, but this is what I have to go over or consider, is it says 53% of homes surveyed are 2 stories. As I said, the balcony is 81 square foot, so that needs to be addressed. The proposed lot coverage will be 31%, which is less than the maximum allowed by the code, by zoning code. 44%, another gentleman had a concern about landscaping. 44% of the lot will be landscaped, which exceeds the 40% minimum required. And eventually, while I appreciate the fact that staff has met with the applicant several times to better integrate the massing and obviously change the designs, I don't know how many times they went over. One other recommendation, I often, when there are neighbors having concerns about the new project, when I offer make is, I wished that property owners or owner and the architect had spent some time with the neighbors, and I'm not sure if that has happened or not, to go over the design, to explain exactly what is to eventually happen there, what changes they are recommending, so that we would not have individuals come here and be seriously concerned about something that eventually, when it's built, they end up liking. So some communication probably would have addressed at least a couple of these issues. Thank you.
Thanks. Before I talk about the architecture, I just wanted to let everyone know that part of the reason that we are here as a board, beyond being able to listen to the neighbors and listen to their concerns, is also to make sure that applicants' rights are also protected, because it's very easy. I'm not saying that you're doing that, but imagine that a group of neighbors decide that they don't want construction in their street, and they come up with reasons to stop a project. And there could be from 5 to 70 people showing up and talking about the same issues. But the reason that we're questioning some of the issues that you brought up is that we need to work with facts, and facts that are directed towards the architecture of the new construction and what can affect a building not being compatible or do something to a neighborhood that starts to change the character of the neighborhood, and so on and so forth. So the reason that we question some of your questions and concerns is because we need to make sure that we just pick the facts that will affect the decision that we're going to make here today. And I'm going to go through, I think the board members really did a great job talking about the issues. I think also the roof, as board member Malikian mentioned, this corner is an issue. This corner is not resolved. Everything sort of makes sense. It's a very simple kind of project, but this is not resolved. And also, I think from the first moment that I looked at the project, I think this balcony looked somewhat excessive. Maybe partially because it's connected to the roof of the building. Maybe it has to be smaller and be own kind of almost like a bay window that grows out of the face of the building rather than going all the way to the roof. It just makes it too massive. So I think there you have an issue in terms of meeting the 25 square foot,
Actually,
which is
I just noticed something, so we can talk about the balcony and the 25 square foot.
sure.
Because I think if you look at the section and look at the location of the balcony where it's actually being placed,
Yeah.
this balcony right here,
Right.
if you're standing right here, and the section is not here, but I have the section.
Here it is.
And I'm just going by facts. So if a balcony is about right there, that's the profile of the section. If you look at where they're cutting right through the balcony, supposedly. The balcony is about approximately 10 feet off the ground, and then the person is standing there, right there. So literally, they're looking into the wall of the garage roof. So, and the building, and this site plan is not accurately drawn, but there's nowhere that if the building, I don't think it goes all the way to the back here, probably stops right about where the garage ends, or somewhere, or right before the garage.
Before the garage.
So the addition is actually, the addition is happening somewhere.
beyond the garage.
Sorry.
There.
Somewhere around there. That's where the garage, where the blue line, approximately. So right where, that's where the new retaining wall is going. So the garage is actually, the balcony is a little bit sitting back from there, based on what I'm looking at. This is where the existing retaining wall is. Okay, so this is where the actual location is, which is about right here. Now the addition is going beyond that, and the balcony is sticking out further, like somewhere around here.
So what Board Member Malikian is saying, there is no physical way to look back into
It's just, based on what I'm seeing right here, unless there's something that I'm missing, it's almost impossible to be able to have that privacy issue. So,
I think that's a good point.
I could be wrong, but that's what putting two and two together, and that's what it is.
No, but the privacy would be an issue if you can see into the property. If this avoids, if that's physically impossible.
It's physically impossible because you're well within the middle of the garage, and looking at that, this is what it's there, and the building itself ends right in the front face of the garage itself. So the building is right here, the balcony's there. So they're supposed to stand here, look over here, and down about 20 or 15 feet down below, look into.
Well, I think what you're saying basically, if this is the corner of the balcony and you strike a line,
Right.
you can't almost, if this is the corner, you're standing here.
Well, that's the low point,
That's
so
the low.
you probably have to deal with like a middle of it because it has a slope, right?
Yeah, it goes this way.
So somewhere around there, right? So, and then look down, which is, it's a sunken situation, maybe a couple of feet lower.
Yeah.
So,
No,
again, facts, so I'm not kind of making this up. It's just
yeah,
all
so
the
I
facts.
think the common issue here was the roof that we somehow we need to address and simplify.
If the width of the, not the depth, but the width of the balcony were narrowed somewhat, we might be able to put a hipped roof on top of the balcony that faded into the roof. It would add a little bit more mass, but there's no issue with mass against the hillside.
Right.
Would that solve the roof problem?
I think so.
It's not only the roof of the. I think this corner is what kind of.
And at the stair tower, right?
Yeah, this kind of sloped roof coming down to this corner, and if that wasn't there, maybe this is okay. But just the way the stair has been expressed, it seems like.
At this point, this roof, a little weird, because that's this shape.
When we were reviewing
Get-
this, sorry.
Yeah, and also that's other point that I brought up, that the way this misses the top.
Most of them are, they're mostly flat roofs that they don't have a point to it. It sort of misses it, like it's doing something strange here.
Right. So anyway, I think the roof situation needs to be simplified, and I'm pretty sure there are ways that it can be done. We just don't want to. In the past, we used to
And I think there's
share
a
some of
simple
our
solution.
sketches just for, for the purposes of helping, just in case, to start a conversation over some of the thoughts. But I think it just needs to be addressed.
Can I suggest a solution? Maybe that will solve all the problems that we have?
Sure. That's a great solution.
So, and I hate to design this, but I need to explain what my... So, right now, the reason that this is happening is because of the staircase that is going there. What if you would take this wall, bring it over, and then what what ends up happening to create this condition is because this is narrower than this. So if you bring this wall over
Right.
and then bring this point here, this will increase the height here. You will get rid of this, and it will get rid of this little dinky little thing. Everything will come at the same plane. Do you understand what I'm doing?
That's one of the ways that.
So it's basically, it's
Extending the roof out over the stairwell
exactly,
area.
and then so this
Bringing it under one roof.
then just kind of becomes a hip roof or something there.
That could be even a shed roof.
Right, and you get rid of this. This little thing goes away. This stays. This is there. This will get
Will it
lowered.
even be lower, because it can just come
Yeah,
across as a bottom
Or it can be
roof of the
lowered,
house?
or, I mean, the pitch of the roof can be changed, but they're trying to maintain what's there
I'm
now,
wondering
so.
if, like,
I
the
think-
this roof here, which is that roof, there can just come across, or does it have? does it
Yeah,
have-
well, you're gonna have this wall carrying over, right? So then this
No,
can
you
be,
know, part of the reason that the wall cannot be because it's a headroom issue. Might,
it doesn't have to be a wall. I mean, it can be the wall. Okay. So,
I think
so
probably
if-
it can be done.
if I cut a section through here, you know, you have this, you have the stairs coming up to the landing, right? So this is the wall, this is what I'm saying is carrying this.
Yeah.
But if you can't do that, and if this is the roof that comes here, it
Yeah,
can
yeah.
be
No, it can be done.
hidden within the roof itself.
Yes. No, it can
So
be
you
done.
can,
And
it
if-
can be,
If we were doing it here, this ridge would come over.
exactly.
Come down, and we'd
Yeah.
fill in that rectangular gap over the stairs.
I think that will solve a lot of these.
If we were to
this
do that, would
issue.
the balcony roof be okay as proposed, or would you rather see it under a more decorative?
This is what I was going to say. I think that this edge condition should be consistent, and this should tuck under.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So kind of
Separate roof.
defer as if
So
it's
that
like a,
you,
kind of an
yeah, so you kind of let this be consistent all around, and then this is almost like a bay
almost
window
like it was
or
added on later
bay
almost.
balcony. Yeah.
Can the applicant add the balcony on the other side of on the freeway side? I'm just asking a question, but is it allowable by code to? I don't know what
I'm
this
just
is.
looking at this-
Four
I'm just
lot?
looking at a
Is it
property.
property line here,
No,
or is the
no.
property line here?
It's out here, man.
It's out here. So it's maybe a noise issue that they don't want to look at that freeway.
See right here, that's, I think this is, there may be an easement issue here.
Okay.
This is some type of an easement here.
It says 10-foot easement, city, Glendale, right away. Yeah.
So there may be something that may be restrictive on that side.
So I think that's kind of, we talked about the main issues, and I would consider the conditions as set forth by the staff. That concludes my comment, and if you like to maybe read, yeah, sorry, I used to look this way.
Oh, go ahead. I'll just.
Stephanie is probably watching.
Stephanie,
and
hello.
laughing. Yeah.
Do you want me to reread the staff conditions, or you've approved all of those?
I think
The decorative
I
paving?
think pretty much, with the exception of the window, did you anyone commented on the wood window?
Yeah, I said that we should keep
Yeah.
the wood windows in the front.
And that would be at the
Vinyl.
front and the driveway side, the visible portions?
Okay.
And then they would have the option of using vinyl at the side and the rear facade?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're proposing vinyl, right?
Yes.
And you guys are saying wood window.
Only for the front visible, street visible, which would be the driveway side and the street facing immediate side.
And then the back will be vinyl?
If that's their desire. We could also, since they're concerned about repainting and deterioration, I think aluminum clad wood or perhaps fiberglass would also be.
I think fiberglass or other options than wood, because I think, again, I'm kind of concerned looking at the photos and driving by over there and just kind of the
The maintenance.
condition of the house. I think the less maintenance issues that we bring up, I think we'll be better off. I think.
And then
I'm
again,
okay.
just at the street visible window openings, or
You want all of them?
No, no,
Oh.
only the
Whatever
visible.
Vinyl?
ones that, whichever, no, not vinyl.
But I mean, if this is different, like this, it's fiberglass or aluminum clad, and backlands are vinyl.
No, I think
These are
they
all
should
the-
all be
yeah.
consistent.
I would like
I
them.
mean, if they're going through this kind of expense renewing this thing, I think even within the building, which is not in our purview, but I think it should have some consistency.
Okay, so all new windows will be
Yeah, whatever, they're
acceptable?
consistent, yeah.
Okay.
It's not vinyl.
And then in terms of,
Fiberglass is fine. I mean,
I have
yes.
aluminum clad is fine
tiny
too.
difference, but
one issue that,
Okay.
The front has to have this divided light.
okay. And at the rear, if they choose not to go to the extra expense of the divided lights, the board would be okay with that?
I think the side, the visible part
Okay.
should be
So-
consistent.
So we'll get a higher quality window at all facades with simulated divided lights at the visible facades. And then in terms of our two design issues we've just been talking about, I've written this, and tell me if it could be done in a better way. At the stairwell, we'll work with the applicant's designer to enlarge the main roof volume so that it encompasses the main portion of the stairwell. And then at the portion of the stairwell that extends beyond the main wall, we'll work out a shed roof detail or another roof detail. And then at the balcony, we'll keep the existing pitch as proposed, but we'll lower its level so that it meets the wall just below the eave level of the proposed main roof. And that's everything that we've got.
Okay, so do we have a motion?
I'll move to approve with comments and conditions.
I'll second.
Am I still there? Okay. Okay, so we have a motion by Mr. Malikian, and we have a second by Mr. Karoglian. The roll call now, with conditions, as noted. Roll call, Mr. Karoglian,
Yes.
Malikian,
Yes.
Ms. Sakai,
Yes.
and Mr. Zrifian.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, that was, your motion again was to?
To approve with conditions.
Okay, we'll do that. All right, very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item on tonight's agenda is review of the minutes from September the 27th. Board members Garagos, Karoglian, and Malikian were present. Board members Sakai and Zerfian were not. You can still, if you'd like, you can either approve it because the majority would be 2 to,
2 to 3, yeah.
2 to 3.
1. Yeah.
well,
I think we should,
2 would
to
be a
you
majority,
guys.
or we could go ahead
technically, I
and,
think we should.
or we can go ahead and continue
Continue
it.
it for the next one, just to
Okay.
be safe, you know, I
So-
can't make a motion, they're gonna make a motion and then approve it myself, so.
Exactly. We'll continue it to the meeting of November the 15th. How's that?
That would be better.
All right.
Safer.
Are there any questions from the board?
Is this ours?
Yes, and that is your copy of the comprehensive design guidelines. So yes,
Nice.
you're,
Oh, nice.
please
Thank
take
you.
that with you.
Thank you.
And with that, just a reminder, we do have a special meeting for Ford on November the 15th, 5 o'clock. And is there a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
To adjourn.
Meeting is
Thank you.
adjourned.
Should I?